And let's do a quick roll call. Clerk Kirby Gonzalez,
Present.
Trustee Wong, who is remote.
Here in Washington, D.C.
Yeah. Trustee Venegas,
All the way present.
and I too am all the way present. Sort of. Actually, I'm really not.
There you go. Now,
Yeah.
now you're present.
Now, okay, let's see. Items discussed in closed session, Government Code Section 54957.6, Conference of Labor Negotiators, WSTA, CSEA, and Management. Information received. Government Code Section 48918, Student Discipline, case number 2023-02. Information received. Government Code Section 48918, Student Discipline, case number 2023-03. Information received. Government Code Section 54957, Public Employees Superintendent Goals. Information received. Let's see. I will now read the land acknowledgement. Washington Unified School District has formally adopted a land acknowledgement statement that recognizes, why don't I just go straight to the land acknowledgement? We acknowledge the land currently occupied by Washington Unified School District as the traditional home of the Patwin people. These sovereign people have been caretakers of the area since time immemorial. Despite centuries of genocide and occupation, the Patwin people continue as vibrant and resilient federally recognized and unrecognized tribes, bands, and rancherias. Today we honor and recognize our Patwin tribal neighbors for their contribution as caretakers of the Sacramento Valley and honor their sustained existence. With their blessing and continued guidance, WSD seeks to provide an accessible and equitable and supportive institution of learning and experience. And now we will do our Pledge of Allegiance. So can I have Matt Ainsworth lead us in the pledge? Pledge allegiance to the flag and to the republic, one nation, indivisible. Thought you could hide in the farthest part and not be recognized. Okay, let's see. Approval of the agenda. Is there any changes to the agenda that anyone wishes?
I move.
Okay.
I second.
Trustee Venegas moves. Clerk Kirby Gonzalez seconds. Trustee Venegas.
Aye.
Clerk Kirby Gonzalez.
Aye.
Trustee Wong.
Aye.
And I too vote aye. The agenda is approved. Communications and celebrations, there are none. Association reports. Is CSEA here? No? WSTA, are they here? No. Okay, there are no association reports. Public comment. Is there any public comment, Mario?
I haven't said this in a while, but there are no public comments.
No, whatever.
Okay. Moving on to M. Public hearing, oh, wait a minute. I'm opening the public hearing for the Washington Unified School District Local Control Accountability Plan. Ms. Stephanie Grote and Billy. There you are. I see you back. Okay. There.
Yes,
It's dark, so can't really see everyone.
Am I on? Can you hear me? I'm not used to being first. Thank you. All right. Good evening, trustees, Dr. Hildreth, colleagues, and community. This evening, we are here for the public hearing for the 24-25 Local Control Accountability Plan. No. There we go. Thank you. This evening, we're going to solicit some recommendations and comments from members of the public. We'll discuss the budget overview for parents, look at the annual update from the 23-24 LCAP, as well as look at the components for the 24-25 LCAP. As we've talked about before with the LCAP, it truly aligns to all parts of the strategic plan, and you're going to see that interwoven throughout this evening, and I think you're going to be really happy with our draft goals and how we've meshed together the two plans for one comprehensive plan. So you can see all of our goals, our equity principles, and our 4 pillars are checked. Are you doing it? Thank you. So here's our strategy map with our 12 strategic priorities, and we'll continue to talk about those throughout the plan. The first part we're going to talk about is the overview of what the plan looks like. You've seen this slide many times since I've been doing this, I think 5 years. This slide has been in almost every single presentation. The LCAP really is a 3-year plan. It's an opportunity for us to show and tell our how, what, and why. This evening is exciting because we're venturing into a new 3-year plan. As we look at framing the LCAP development process really serves 3 distinct purposes. We look at our meaningful engagement with our educational partners, it being a comprehensive strategic planning tool, as well as the accountability and compliance. So I'm going to turn it over now to talk about the budget overview for parents. Lily's going to talk about that, which really is intended to be an easy way for our parents and community to understand our budget.
Great, thank you. Slide, please. This first slide talks about the revenue projected for the district. So for the 24-25 school year, we are anticipating $130.5 million in total revenue. Almost $95 million of that is from the local control funding formula. That big circle on the left with the light blue Pac-Man, that's the total revenue. The light blue Pac-Man part is the total LCFF funds. So the $95 million is represented by the Pac-Man on the left. The dark blue circle on the right is the $95 million, but then the small light blue triangle is going to be $16.7 million, and that's how much of the LCFF funds are generated by our high needs students, the foster youth, English learner, and low-income students. Next slide shows the total expenditures of the district. The green bar on the left, $139.5 million, that's our total budgeted general fund expenditures for the 24-25 school year. The light blue bar on the right is $19.6 million, and that's how much is currently budgeted in the LCAP for 24-25. Some expenditures that we don't put into the LCAP are like district-wide personnel costs, utility bills, insurance, contracts for services that like existing contracts for services, the budget for the food services department, transportation department, maintenance and operations. Those are not included in the LCAP. This slide here shows the 23-24 school year, how we kind of finished. The total budget expenditures for high need students in the LCAP was almost $6 million. The actual expenditures for high need students in 23-24 is going to end up being around $11.5 million. And those are actions like the intervention support, support material equity training, homeschool transportation, and support for English learners, newcomers. Now we're back to Stephanie.
All right, so as I mentioned, we want to look at the ending of our 23-24 LCAP. So we have a one-time annual update. This will be the only time that this is a standalone document, as it will be part of the LCAP moving forward until probably in 3 years when they change the template. I will say that. So this again is an opportunity to really look at our annual update of where we are. The only big change within the template is that most of it's copied from either the LCAP or the mid-year update that we previously gave in February, but we do have the column that's called a year 3 outcome, and this is where we've updated any new outcomes that we've had since February till now. With that, there are some that are not possible to be updated. Like the one that I have up is our CASP scores. We don't have our CASP scores now, so that one still shows where we were at our mid-year update. Within each goal on this annual update, there is a goal analysis. There are 4 prompts that we answered. This was not just my doing. This was looking at all the information from people who oversaw the actions and the goals. For prompt 1, we had to look at the implementation. Within our planned actions, what is being implemented and described how it's going. For example, in goal 1, in the annual update, it's actually page 12 of 34. I'm not sure how your packets are numbered, but it focused on sites having MTSS meetings. We do know that those are occurring. Prompt 2 looks at the estimated actuals, which we want to be transparent in what we are looking at spending. So if there were any changes, one example that's noted within this section is on page 13 of 34, is that the cost of the adoption when we looked at our curriculum and supporting the EL adoption part was a little bit higher than we anticipated, so that is noted. Prompt 3 looks at the actions to determine if they were effective or ineffective. One of the examples within this area or this prompt on page 24, we looked at, and that's in goal 3, we wanted to increase our parent engagement through a variety of programs, which we did. We offered them both always in Spanish and then in English as well. We offered them in person and then also virtual based upon input from those who had attended. And then prompt 4 looks at changes. So within each of our goals that we have now, our 5 goals that we have now, there are changes with our goals as we are changing all of our goals to align with our strategic plan goal. That is our wish. And then we also are looking at additional changes as we move forward, including that some of our goals, we had one specific to foster youth and students with disabilities, and those are no longer standalone goals, but rather they are actions tied to our goals to support that student population. So those are all noted within that prompt 4. Okay, so now we're going to move into our 24-25 draft LCAP. The reason why it says draft is it's draft until it's approved by our board. There continue to be the 5 components. Main components, looking at the plan summary, our engaging educational partners, our goals and actions, our increased or improved services, as well as our action tables. There are some changes within the template. We're really going to highlight the changes and bring to the forefront some great things within that 109-page document. So looking within our plan summary, this includes general information about WUSD, including geography, enrollment, school information, as well as some recent community challenges. Within the plan summary, our reflections, this is a new part that we were asked to call out specifically the information that was shared within our dashboard. We previously gave an in-depth presentation on that, but we do have to identify any school that received the lowest performance levels at one or more state indicators on the dashboard, any student group that received the lowest performance level on one or more state indicators, as well as any student group that received the lowest performance, so student groups and schools. So that's why you'll see all of that data relisted that way within that section. Beginning on page 3 of the LCAP. And then also WUSD is eligible for technical assistance based upon our dashboard performance for homeless and students with disability. We do work with YCOE to partner to receive some support, such as additional professional development. They come in and provide us with some additional reports to support those student subgroups as well. We have 4 school sites that have been, or who are identified as eligible for CSI, or Comprehensive Support and Improvement. We talked about that as well during our dashboard presentation. These sites receive additional support and funding to target those areas of improvement. The schools are required to put together a CSI plan, which are part of their SIPSAs, or the Single Plans for Student Achievements, which will be brought to the school board at the end of June for approval. So you'll see those expenditures directly in their SIPSAs. One of the exciting parts about the template, I think it's exciting, maybe not others, but we did have a new template for how we were actually documenting and monitoring how we were engaging with our educational partners. It did look at who the educational partners were, and then the process for engagement. So it really brought to the forefront making sure that we reached out to our educational partners, including school staff, teachers, classified principals, admin, sitting in board meetings, going to community school meetings, our EL-PAC, Parent Advisory Committee, our DLAC, we had a LCAP Advisory Committee, and of course, students. This section highlights the educational partners and the process for the engagement, and then there's a summary that looks at how the draft or adopted LCAP will be influenced by the feedback from these educational partners. So one thing that kept coming up over and over again was the need for a comprehensive plan. The example I always give is that in our previous LCAP, Goal 1 was college and career readiness, but within our strategic plan, Goal 5 is college and career readiness. So when we would come before people, we were like, LCAP Goal 1, strategic plan 5. And so trying to put together what are those goals. So we did go through a lengthy process of looking at our actions and metrics to ensure that they would align with our strategic plan goals. So with that, dun, da, 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 we are proposing our draft LCAP goals to be the same as our strategic plan goals. This recognizes the hard work of our committees as well as our strategic plan process that we went through about 18 months to 2 years ago. And this really allows us to ensure coherence and a unified direction in achieving our educational outcomes and goals. The other goal that is mandatory this year for us is the equity multiplier goal, and this is actually new to all of the LCAP plan process, and I'm going to talk a little bit further about that specific goal later in the presentation. So within the LCAP, we continue to have metrics and actions. For each of the new LCAP goals, metrics and actions have been identified. One example of this is in Goal 4, which would now be the elimination of disproportionalities. The metric is the suspension rate. So that is a required metric, and it is identified as a current percentage or baseline. And then our target for the year 3 years out, would be to reduce by 5%. And then the action is to assist staff to continue to be trained with PBIS and restorative practices. So here are some examples. These are not all of our LCAP actions. I didn't condense it all into this one slide, but these are the ones that were specifically from our educational partners. So we wanted to highlight the continued actions, such as the support of the intervention specialist, looking at professional development for all WSD staff. Within our draft LCAP in front of you, we have broken down our professional development into each of the goals so that we can more clearly identify and align our professional development to goals to be able to report back what we are doing within each of those areas. Professional development for classified, certificated admin, continuation of our foster youth liaison to support our students, not just our foster youth, but our FIT families, support of the newcomer classes, as well as various personnel in the LCAP, some of which, it's all in there, but there's social workers, outreach specialists, our EDI department, admin, so those positions are listed within the LCAP. And then looking at some revised or new actions. As we talked about our estimated actuals, we always want to go back and see how did we spend things, what did we do? So we've reallocated some funds and looked at our actual funds spent in previous years. We are looking to add an additional campus security monitor at the high school, a behaviorist to support student behavior across the district, specifically supporting our special education students as well as our Tier 2 students with some behavior support. The coordinator of student empowerment and leadership, not a new position, but just moving it to a funding that is more clearly aligned with the intent. And then also looking at a teacher on special assignment, the TOSA is what we call it. I know we like our acronyms, directly to support dual immersion at Elkhorn to provide support to staff and students. Okay, our equity multiplier goal. This goal provides additional funding to our district, and it's allocated to the school sites with the prior year non-stability rates that were greater than 25% and the prior year socioeconomically disadvantaged pupil rates greater than 70%, right? That sounds like a lot of education ease because I took it right from the website. For us, this really looks at the support for our WUVA, YOLO, and Evergreen opportunity sites, and it looks at what are we doing to support that stability within those school sites. We had an opportunity when you go back to the educational partner section of meeting with those site administrators to look at supports for their sites, and so they are requesting various actions to support their sites as well. So the final part is our action tables. Our fiscal department, we obviously work very closely with them to make sure that all of our numbers add, as well as with YCOE to make sure that it aligns with our budget that will be presented in a little bit. These are the same tables. They were new last year, but continue this year, looking at our total expenditures, our contributing actions, our annual update, our contributing actions and updates for current year, and then our carryover to which we do not have any, or our LCAP. So for our next steps, we're really looking for feedback and guidance. We will request the approval of the LCAP at the board meeting on June 27th with the budget as is required so that we can move forward. And then upon approval, we'll send it to YCOE for one final review. And then they actually send it to CDE, and then our LCAP will be posted on our website in both Spanish and English. Throughout the school year, we'll continue to bring you updates in monitoring of our goals and actions as we go through the school year.
All right. Is there any public comment, Mario?
No public comment?
All right, thank you. Is there any board comment? Question? No. Trustee Wong, do you have any questions or comments?
You've been doing and staff doing to get to this point. I know it's slightly less money than prior years where we've had major initiatives. So really appreciate that has been going into. And I know the equity multiplier is brand new and complicated, and hopefully we'll yield some. I appreciate the focus on disproportionate outcomes for certain student groups. So just wanted to a note of appreciation.
Thank you. Clerk Kirby Gonzalez.
Sure, thank you. Yes, thank you for all of this work. I know the changing templates and it is always a challenge, and so I want to thank you for that. And you did a great presentation. You broke it down and made it really accessible, so thank you. What schools do you think might qualify for the equity multiplier? Do we know that now?
We do. So it's WUVA, our Washington Virtual Academy, YOLO, and then Evergreen Opportunity.
And is that in part then because of the non-stability rates? I would
That is
think?
the only,
Okay.
yes, that's
Okay.
the only qualifying part of that
Okay.
goal.
Okay, all right, thank you. And then my other question is just if you can talk about the process as we look at our budget as well. And if, as a district, we need to make any reductions, of course, we want to keep them as far away from kids as possible. But as we have those conversations, and what does that look like in terms of with the LCAP as well? Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I can speak to a process more than the actual numbers, because I think they're going to go over
I don't need
some of the
any
budget.
specifics.
Okay.
Yeah, just a general.
I always say,
yeah.
I speak the words, and I will defer to the numbers, fiscal for the numbers. So when we look at the processes, we continue to have those educational partner engagement meetings, and we're talking about what our needs are and what's effective and what's not effective and how we are measuring that. I hope that within the new LCAP, you see how specific the actions are. Even the metrics are called out because we really want to monitor those and continue to monitor what we're doing to support our students. We have heard many times that we are receiving less money as we have some one-time monies going away. Then we do need to look at what we're doing to support our students. And I can say that my other role, not just LCAP, we continue to look at ways to bring in revenue through grants and things like that.
Thank you. And thank you for all the work to engage partners too on this.
That's one of my favorite.
Great.
Thank you. And that's basically the question I had, was how will potentially reduction in revenues impact looking at here as they all kind of answered that. So we'll be waiting to see from future presentations. And with that, we are done with this public hearing. And now I got to open public hearing number 2 for Washington Middle College High School once again.
All right, good
All right.
evening. This evening, I am joined by Principal Lane and Billy. Oh, I saw one on each side. As we look at our Washington Middle College Local Control Accountability Plan. Washington Middle College is a charter, and they do have their own LCAP. So again, the purpose is to look at recommendations, solicit recommendations and comments. We're going to go over the budget overview, the annual update, as well as the LCAP that Ms. Lane and her team has put together. Within the strategic plan, it does align to all of the goals, the equity principles, and the 4 pillars. Her goals do look a little bit differently as we get to that section, and I'll let her talk about the process that she went through for that. Within the LCAP, again, the slide in regard to it being a 3-year plan, Washington Middle College does complete an LCAP and not a SIPSA, as their Title I funds are within their LCAP, so they are not required to do a single plan for student achievement. So this truly is an opportunity for her to provide the story in regard to the how, what, and why of the programs and services for her group. Again, the framing in regard to it being a meaningful engagement of educational partners. It's a comprehensive strategic planning tool, and it helps with the accountability and compliance piece of Washington Middle College.
Okay, the budget overview for parents for Washington Middle College High School. This first slide is the revenue for Washington Middle College High School. Looks like they're going to bring in almost $2 million in total revenue. Most of it's from the local control funding formula. Big circle on the left is the $2 million. Dark blue circle on the right is the amount of those funds that are generated by our high needs students, the foster youth, English learners, and low income students. That comes to about $382,000. Next slide. These are the total budgeted expenditures in the LCAP. So Washington Middle College High School total budgeted expenditures are the $2 million that they're receiving. Budgeted expenditures in the LCAP are $382,000. They do not include, again, personnel costs, utility bills, insurance premiums, operating budgets for any maintenance programs. Next slide. Okay, so for 23-24, we had 421,000 budgeted for actions to increase and improve services for Washington Middle College High School. Going to completely spend that amount in 23-24. The actions included planned intervention, support materials, support for English learners, and including newcomers and some professional development. And with the annual update.
Okay, so as we look at the annual update, we'll go to the next slide. We saw this one previously. Again, this was provided during our mid-year update in February as well. So any of the actions that we could provide an update to, Ms. Lane did provide that. Slide. And again, the same as with ours, with Washington Unified School District, our CAS scores are not in, so there is no updates there. So we'll continue on. Also within the goal analysis, there are several takeaways. The prompts she did go through, make sure that any point where the planned actions, whether they were being implemented or not, were described. As well as the estimated actuals. We do work with our fiscal department to make sure that we are monitoring Washington Middle College budget as well, and then look specifically at the effectiveness and ineffectiveness of actions, as well as some changes. I'm going to have Ms. Lane kind of go over a summary of what happened in 23-24 and how she did the analysis of her goals. Your personnel.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. So there were several things in our 23-24 that we, going into the next 3-year LCAP that we removed. For example, we had a parent-family liaison, and we removed that from our action. We didn't feel that we had the need for that at our school for the particular needs of our students. And then we reallocated the funding into our youth outreach. And we also removed, we had an excessive amount in transportation costs. So we reallocated some of that funding because it was a 70 and too much. And so we reallocated some of that funding into some other areas. And also we had some right. And then we also had some funding that we received a $250,000 grant for basically tutoring, so that we could have students pass college classes and also just pass regular high school classes. So we were able to move some of our funding into teacher buyouts for extra labs, academic enrichment, college support classes, and then tutoring after school and before school, and also have peer tutoring. So we moved some of our money around so that the grant could support those costs instead of our.
As we look at the draft LCAP for Washington Middle College, this one's a little bit different as the district oversees the LCAP for Washington Middle College, but it does have the same components, including the plan summary, the engaging of educational partners, the goals and actions, increased or improved services, as well as action tables. Within the plan summary, there is a description of Washington Middle College. It does include the Middle College National Consortium design principles, as well as the demographics, as they do have a charter that we've heard about before. The reflections are based upon the dashboard, but as we've presented before, because of the size of the school, the dashboard data is sometimes not as robust, just because of the size, and we don't have the subgroups of students, but that is in the plan. Washington Middle College is not eligible for technical assistance or a CSI school. So within education, I'm making up words now. Engaging educational partners. I'm going to have Ms. Lane talk a little bit more about that because she has a different process than we do within the district.
So for the charter, we have an advisory committee and we meet quarterly. And the advisory committee for the charter consists of principals, school staff, parents, students, district personnel, and Sacramento City College. And then we meet to discuss, money, and then also like student needs, the relationship between Washington Middle College and Sac City College, and any of the like charter requirements, and that's how we plan our budget and any other needs that we have for our school. And we meet quarterly, but it's not only quarterly. We also have other meetings that we will throw in if there's any particular needs or some services that we require for Sac City Community College. Then we will ask for a special. So it's not just quarter, but we have to.
So you will see the Washington Middle College LCAP goals are not exactly what our strategic plan goals are, and through that educational engagement with her partners, really wanted to look at making sure that the goals were specific to Middle College. However, you can see that they directly align with our strategic plan. So going forward with 3 goals: college-focused academic program, equitable and positive educational environment, as well as parent and community engagement. As with our district LCAP, there are metrics and actions. These are the same. There are required metrics that are within the Washington Middle College LCAP as well as some local metrics that are specific to her school site. The action tables are the final component, and these 2 are the ones that are closely monitored by our fabulous fiscal department and educational services to ensure that our funding that are tied to the actions are allowable. These are the same tables that are in all LCAPs. Our next steps are we are looking for feedback this evening. We'll request approval as well. And then it will be sent to Yolo County Office of Education just as to say that we are done. We actually oversee the LCAP. It does not for Washington Middle College. And then it'll be posted on the district website as well as Washington Middle College website. So with that, comments and questions?
No
No.
public comment?
Thank you,
Oh, I'm
Maura.
sorry.
Any board members have comments or questions? Al, go ahead.
All right, thank you for that. If you can just explain, like, how did you go through the process when you said we decided to move this funding from here to there? What did that look, who's we, just to kind of explain, and how did you what was the approach and what was the process?
So for our charter, we have the advisory committee. For the charter, we have the advisory committee. Like I said, it's myself, teachers, parents, students, and Sacramento City College and district personnel. So we have our quarterly meetings where we discuss, our LCAP and also other charter needs. So we continually review our data, plus also site meetings, weekly site meetings, and we'll continually review our data and determine what's working based on our data, what's not working, and then our next step. So with that, and when you look at our LCAP for the next 3 years, you'll notice that we really tried to streamline into our actions, just the high needs that we have, and just put it into very specific categories instead of little pockets everywhere. It's just big pockets of very specific needs for our school, and that was all done through our staff meetings and also our advisory committee
Thank you.
and our partnership.
Thank you.
Trustee Wong? Okay. Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Same comment as before, just thank you for the hard work and engaging the, I think partnering with our community college district is just a different layer, and just appreciate all the hard work, your partnership to make Washington Middle College successful.
I only had two quick questions, sorry. What is the difference between a parent and family liaison and a youth outreach specialist? Or you said you changed one
Right.
position into
You know,
another?
I'm not really sure. It was like, can anybody else answer that from HR? Because I don't really know what
So
a parent.
so we have outreach specialists as well as our bilingual, home bilingual school liaisons.
Right.
And so one looks at supporting the continued absenteeism, connecting with families, and then one is to look at supporting with the language needs as well. And they are all bilingual. So within Washington Middle College, because I can see the question on your face, we do also have that support, and she can call upon our district support for those families.
Okay, thank
Did
you.
was I
That
anticipating
did.
your question
You
correctly?
did very well.
Thank you.
You got it. The second question I have is, so you mentioned the relationship between Sac City and Washington Middle College High School. How many other middle college high schools are there in Los Rios? And what type of, because I didn't think there were many, if any. So is this relationship unique?
This is unique. I believe we are the only middle college that is associated with Sacramento City College. The nearest middle college to the Sacramento area would be Delta Community College in Lodi, and Solano Middle College in Fairfield.
In Stockton, right?
Yeah, in Fairfield and Stockton or Lodi. So, and that's the nearest true middle college. There's other schools that have college embedded or whatever, but a true middle college
Right.
is very unique.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
And with that, this public hearing is closed. Now we have, public hearing, we're opening for the Washington Unified School District 24-25 adopted budget. Monique Stovall, Chief Business Officer. And Billy's back.
And Billy's back. Hey, good evening. Billy Dubin and I are here this evening for the public hearing for the 2024-25 budget. It's wonderful. So in this public hearing this evening, we have 5 main topics that we'd like to cover. The legal requirements for the adopted budget in the public hearing, core messages centered around the budget, a budget summary, multi-year projections, and our next steps. As with the LCAP, our budget aligns with every portion of our strategic plan because it supports all students and staff. And it also supports every section in our strategy. Always show this at the beginning of our budget presentations, the annual budget cycle. We're now at the beginning of the budget cycle. It goes year after year after year, and this is such a unique time where we adopt the budget, and then we have the state enacted budget in a couple weeks, and that's when we do more review. So let's talk about the legal requirements. So the adopted budget, it contains our estimated actuals, as was mentioned in our previous presentation, where we estimate where we'll actually land at the end of this fiscal year. We estimate our revenues and we estimate our expenditures. That leads us into being able to develop our next year's budget. And of course, as it says here, we are required to project our 24-25 budget and the 2 subsequent fiscal years. We prefer to estimate our 3 subsequent fiscal years because we want to look at a long term. So you'll see that in tonight's presentation. And this is a 2-step process. Tonight, we have our public hearing, and we would anticipate adoption at our June 27th. Let's get into the core messages. There are 4 core messages that we wanted to review this evening. First is enrollment. And over the past 5 years, our enrollment has declined by about 320 students. We anticipate a continued decline, but eventually kind of having a steady state in our enrollment. Our enrollment is important, but what's also important is how many students come to school every single day, which is called our average daily attendance, or ADA. Although our ADA has not quite gotten to where it was before the pandemic, we are seeing a rise in our ADA, which is really great because we are funded based upon the number of students who attend school. Next, our expiring COVID monies. We received about $33 million for the 3 years, or few years, to support our students and staff, and that money expires on September 30th, 2024. And then, of course, the California economy. As we've been discussing over the past 6 months, the California budget is in a deficit. Education was protected this year, but we need to make sure we're mindful that there may be future cuts to education and talk a little bit more about our enrollment projections. As you can see on the graph on this slide, after COVID, we had an unexpected bit of a rise in our enrollment. However, as we are welcoming our TK students and our kinder students, we're having more students graduate from us than are enrolling with. Thus, we are projecting a decline. A couple years ago, we did have, actually, I think it was last year, we did have a demographic study on our enrollment, and we'll be entering to a similar study next year to be able to really see what's happening in our city and in our district over the past couple years to really see where we're headed with our enrollment. As you see here, next year, we're projecting about a 69 student decline, and with a total of 272 students in decline by 2017. As shared, the number of students who attend school every day, that's where we receive our. And as you can see here, we have 2 sections to this graph. We have our actual ADA and then our funded ADA. The state protects schools by funding them at a higher rate than their actual ADA if the previous years were higher, or even the current year is higher. So we're funded on the greater of the current year, prior year, or 3-year average. So whichever is. We anticipate that we'll be taking the 3-year average for next year as well, but recognizing that only 93% of our students attend school every year. Pre-COVID, it was 95. Last year, it was 92.9 or 7. It was a little bit lower, but we're still working on improving the number of students who come to school. For Washington Middle College High School, we're seeing a little bit of a fluctuation in their enrollment. I know Principal Lane's goal is to be able to have the full enrollment getting up to 300 students, and so we're going to keep an eye on that. With charter schools, they're funded on their actual aid. And for the Washington Middle College High School, about 91% of their students attend school. But this time, I'm going to pass it to Billy to go into some of the details on the 24-25.
Thank you. Okay, let's. There we go. Okay, start with some key budget factors for the 24-25 school year budget. Our revenue is, we've included the 1.07 cost of living adjustment. If you remember, when we presented the second interim back in March, we were projecting it at a 0.76. After the governor's May revision, that landed at a 1.07. We are adding no new one-time revenue, as there are none anticipated. Monique just mentioned the budget issues in the state of California, so there's no new one-time programs that we're receiving. Our expenses, we included the anticipated employee compensation increases, and we are utilizing the Learning Recovery Block Grant to help with some of the rising expenses of our special education programs. Some other factors for our budget, final COVID projects, they're going to be completed over the next couple months, July through September. We have many facilities projects going on. Some of the ongoing expenses that were funded by COVID have been included in our unrestricted and restricted budgets as appropriate for what they are. And the last bullet on the bottom there, a portion of the 23-24 ending fund balance is going to be designated for budget stabilization for our future year. Let's get into some of the numbers. This slide talks about the revenue for the 24-25 school year. Our unrestricted revenue is going to be around $99.3 million. Almost $95 million of that is generated through our local control funding formula, or LCFF dollars. Our restricted programs are projected to generate $31.2 million for combined revenue for the district of $130.5 million. Our projected expenses for the 24-25 school year are as follows. Our total salary and benefits for our unrestricted programs are around $71.9 million. Our restricted salary and benefits are almost $3 million, for total salaries and benefits in 24-25 at $97.2 million. Our total operating costs, which include books and supplies, our services, operating expenditures, capital outlays, construction type project. Our unrestricted budget for 24-25 is $14.7 million. Our restricted operating cost budget is $27.5 million for a combined $42.3 million in total operating costs. So down at the bottom right corner, our total expenses combined for 24-25 are $139.5 million. This slide shows how that changes our fund balance. The second row there talks the revenue. The third row is the expenses. Those are the numbers that were on the previous two slides. They said we have about $130.5 combined in revenue and $139.5 in expenses. So we're spending about $9 million more than we're going to bring in next year. Total financing sources and uses. That line there is where we show how much we're contributing to special education programs or how much we're transferring to other funds. In 24-25, we plan on having $25.2 million transferred out of the restricted budget. $15.7 million of that is to cover restricted shortfalls like special education costs that we don't receive. And then another $10 million of that is that budget stabilization that we mentioned earlier that we'll get into a little bit more soon. The bottom line shows the net change in fund balance. So both programs, unrestricted and restricted, we plan on decreasing our fund balance by 12.6 and then 5.9 million respectively for a combined decrease in fund balance of 18.5 million. Okay, this slide shows what those changes from the previous slide do to our total fund balance. The second row, there's our beginning fund balance. That's how we plan on ending this current school year. So by July 1st, coming up, we plan on having 23.8 million as a fund balance for unrestricted and almost 2 million as a restricted fund balance. So we're going to start the school year next year with about $50 million as a fund balance. Changes from the previous slide, the expenses reducing our fund balance will bring us to almost $31.4 million as a combined fund balance. The unrestricted side shows 11.1 million as an ending fund balance, and that is enough to cover our reserve for economic uncertainties at 6%, which is 8.9 million, and we have an unassigned fund balance of almost $2 million. Multi-year projections. You've seen this slide before. We show this at all of our interim reports and budget reports where we talk about multi-year projections. We write multi-year projections to show that we can meet or how we're going to meet our financial obligations. They are required by law. Monique said at the beginning of this, we're required to do the current year and 2 years out. We're adding a third year as well. And these things change all the time. We make them on the information we have at the time and, from the most reliable sources we can find. All right, this is what the MYP looks like. The second column there, the 23-24 estimated, that is how we are showing that we're going to finish this year. So we're going to end up bringing in $100.2 million. We're spending $80.9 million. So we're going to have a surplus of $19 million this year, but we're going to spend 15.6 of it on a contribution to our restricted programs. So we're going to increase our fund balance, our unrestricted fund balance, by $3.5 million. So we started the year in July of 2023 with $20.3 million, and we're going to end this June 30th with $23.8 million. Of that $23.8 million, we're designating or assigning $10 million for budget stabilization to give us an ending fund balance percent of 9.97%. The 24-25 column, those are all the numbers we just went over in the previous slides. It shows our net decrease to the fund balance of the $12.6 million. So we're going to start in July 1st with the 23.8, and then we're going to end next year in June at 11.18, which will give us 7.47% of an ending fund balance. In 25-26, we have a revenue of $100.7 million, expenses of almost $90 million, so a surplus of 10.8. And you notice the total financing sources is much less in 25-26. It's down to $9.6 million. That's because the budget stabilization, $10 million that we're transferring out to a budget stabilization fund in 24-25 will be brought back into the budget to help with the expenses that we have in 25-26. Which will allow us to end 25-26 with $12.3 million and a 9.74% ending fund balance. When we get to 26-27 and 27-28, our expenses begin to outpace our revenue, and we are decreasing our fund balance by $8.8 million in 26-27, and then by the $9.46 million in 27-28. To give us ending fund balances of $3.5 million in 26-27 and $5.9 million in the whole on 27-28. The ending fund balance percent at the bottom, the state requires us to be at 3%. The board has a requirement for an additional 3%. So we're supposed to be at a 6% on that line. We're making our ending fund balance percent in 23-24, 24-25, and 25-26. By the time we get to 26-27, 27-28, we are below the 3% and below the 6%. This slide here talks about the REU, or the Reserve for Economic Uncertainties. In 24-25, the amount of 6% fund balance is $8.9 million, which we are able to make. An average cost of monthly personnel is about $8.1 million. So that 6% ending fund balance percent will cover just over 1 month of payroll. As far as next steps, we're here tonight conducting the 24-25 budget public hearing. We'll be back on June 27th to request adoption of our budget. We're going to analyze the enacted budget when it comes out in a couple of weeks, and then we'll close the 23-24 school year in August, September, and we're going to continue working on aligning our revenues and expenditures. Next time on the budget cycle, we will be at budget adoption at the end of June. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any public comment, Carl?
No public comment?
Trustee Wong, do you have any comments or questions?
I'm okay.
Okay.
We know the budget's gonna change in a few weeks. We
Yep.
have to adopt now. Same comment I make every year.
Right. In fact, the budget was adopted today by the legislature, which will be nowhere close to what it is when it's finally approved. So, Trustee Venegas? Or Kirby Gonzalez? Sorry.
I only have one question, and I apologize if you said it at the beginning, but has the employee compensation packages been included in these numbers? Okay, thank you.
And let's see. I have two questions. So based on the demographic projections and the decline in enrollment, how close are we to the old demographic study that we had done to the projections on enrollment there
When you say the old demographic study, the one we did
previously?
just not too long ago,
Well, I know we've done two. I
The
don't
one-
know when the one prior to that was versus the one currently.
one we've done since I've been here,
Okay,
we're a little bit higher. So we did up the numbers just a little bit compared to that demographic study based upon this year and last year's trend of inching up a little.
and the one previous, do you know when that one was conducted?
I found out it was 2016, just today.
16. Okay. And do you know if what that one said was declining enrollment also? Because I seem to remember the declining enrollment mantra being said for year after year being on the board.
When I joined the district in July 2021, it was declining enrollment much more than where we are right now.
Right.
The decline was much steeper, and I don't recall the exact numbers, but we're actually in a little bit of a better spot than we had anticipated at that time.
Okay. And then the other question is, basically for 26, 27, and 27, 28, it looks like we fall below our policy as well as what we need for a positive budget, right? Are we looking at having to do more budget stabilization cuts to make that meet our thresholds?
Yes. As you saw, what we are proposing that you all adopt is this year, we identify $10 million to help us through the next 2 years while we make some important decisions and some alignment with our expenses. That way, when we get to 26, 27, and 27, 28, we are meeting at minimum, our board
3%.
approved REU.
Maybe I misunderstood, but I thought that when we did our last demography report or study that we were going to continue to work with them and they were going to give us projections each year. Is that true or not?
That's true. Unfortunately, they have been unresponsive.
Oh, did we pay them? Did we make a contract
Right.
with them on that?
Sure did.
Okay.
So that's a follow-up.
Are they still in business?
They are.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because that is I know kids don't come in perfect numbers by school site where,
Right.
we like them, but definitely when you go into many of our classrooms, it doesn't feel like declining enrollment because they're packed in some of their spaces. So it's always helpful to have that. So,
Mhm.
okay, well, thank you. And I appreciate maybe any follow-up on that once you have it.
All right, I think that's good. So now we're moving on to the consent agenda. Is there anyone that wishes to remove an item on the consent agenda? No? Okay. Moved by trustee Venegas,
I'll second.
second by clerk Kirby Gonzalez. Trustee Wong,
Aye.
clerk Kirby Gonzalez.
Aye.
I too vote aye. Trustee Venegas.
Aye.
All right, consent agenda is approved. On to action item, okay. Government Code Section 48918, Student Discipline, Case Number 2023-02. Do we have a motion to adopt the stipulated to expulsion?
So moved.
I second.
Moved by Clerk Kirby Gonzalez, second by Trustee Venegas. Trustee Wong,
Aye.
Clerk Kirby Gonzalez.
Aye.
I too vote aye. Trustee Venegas.
Aye.
All right. Number 2, Government Code Section 48918, Student Discipline, case number 2023-03. Do we have a motion to adopt the stipulated expulsion?
I move.
Moved by trustee Venegas,
I'll second.
second by clerk Kirby Gonzalez. Trustee Wong?
Aye.
Clerk Kirby Gonzalez?
Aye.
I too vote aye. Trustee Venegas?
Aye.
All right. Those two matters are approved. Approval of the consolidated application, 2425 application for funding. Autry Street. Stephanie.
Good evening. This evening, we are requesting the approval of the consolidated application request for funding. This includes funding for our federal programs, Title I, Title II, Title III, and Title IV.
All right, thank you. Mario?
No public comments?
Thank you. Any questions, comments from the board?
So moved.
All right, moved by clerk Kirby Gonzalez.
Second.
Second by trustee Venegas. Trustee Venegas?
Aye.
I too vote aye. Clerk Kirby Gonzalez?
Aye.
Trustee Wong?
Aye.
All right, we have it approved. Okay, approval of the physical education exemption for juniors and seniors who have met the exemption requirements. Matt Ainsworth.
Good evening. Thank you. This item is an annual action item regarding high school PE exemptions. The school governing board, in accordance with Ed Code 51241C1, may grant a permanent exemption from courses in PE if a student applies who is 16 years of age and has been enrolled in grade 10 for 1 year or longer. We've attached a list of students who have completed the exemption application process and have met education code requirements. Staff seeks approval from the governing board of the exemption list for the 24-25.
All right,
No public comments?
thank you, Mauro. Any comments, questions for the board? Seeing and hearing none.
So moved.
Moved by clerk Kirby Gonzalez,
I second.
second by trustee Venegas. Trustee Wong?
Aye.
Clerk Kirby Gonzalez?
Aye.
Trustee Venegas?
Aye.
And I too vote aye. That is approved. Approval of Washington Unified California State Preschool Program Handbook. That would be Matt Ainsworth again. Hi.
No, I'm very pleased to introduce our new Director of Induction, Early Child Education, and Expanding Learning Programs, Martina Garrett, to share this action item.
Hey, there we go.
Welcome.
Good evening, Vice President Basadi and trustees and Superintendent Hildreth and Cabinet. Washington Unified School District State Preschool Program recognizes the importance of play in the learning process for young children. We also recognize that parents are the primary caregivers and educators of their children. Each family brings a history of life experience and cultural heritage and is respected and valued within our programs. Partnerships between families and WSD are essential to the growth and development of each individual child. This handbook explains state policies regarding enrollment opportunities at the WSD state preschool programs, as well as parent and student rights. We are requesting board approval of the state preschool parent handbook.
Mario,
No public comments?
questions, comments from the board?
I move.
Moved by trustee Venegas,
I'll second.
second by clerk Kirby Gonzalez. Trustee Wong?
Aye.
Clerk Kirby Gonzalez?
Aye.
Trustee Venegas?
Aye.
And I too vote aye. Thank you, you have that. Approval of the instructional calendar for 25-26 school year. Farah Ubedullah, did I get it right? Or close enough?
Yes, no,
Okay, all
it's
right.
perfect. Good evening, trustees, Vice President Sadi, Hildred. Tonight, I'm bringing forward the Washington Unified School District Calendar Committee's recommendation to approve the instructional calendar for the 2025-2026 school year. This item was shared as an informational item at the April 25th board meeting, during which we shared the state's requirement for meeting physical education minutes for our students. historical context and our prior instructional calendars for prior years, and our priorities set by the calendar committee, which actually helped us create two options for our 2025-2026 school instructional calendar, and the results of the staff and community survey. During the conversation, we talked about the two options that were created. Option A, with 2 weeks of spring break and 2 weeks of winter break. Option B was 3 weeks of winter break and 1 week of spring break. We reviewed the results, and it indicated that option A was most popular, with 2 weeks of winter break and 2 weeks of spring break. The priorities that were set by the calendar committee included we needed to make sure that we were meeting the state requirements for PE minutes. We were also ensuring that we were aligning with the state and federal holidays, our instructional calendars. And then we were also meeting the contractual requirements for our CSCA and WSTA members. Finally, we were also making sure that we align the TK and fifth grade parent conferences to first making sure that they were done in the first trimester. And then we also talked about how we needed to include a break in October, and those were some of the requirements that we met. In alignment with the staff and community survey results and the priorities of the Washington Unified School District's Instructional Calendar Committee, tonight I'm seeking your approval for the option A, 2025-2026 school year instructional calendar. We feel that the calendar meets all of the listed priorities and most effectively support students' learning throughout.
All right, thank you.
No public comments?
Okay, any comments or questions from the board? Okay, Clerk Kirby Gonzalez.
Thank you. I appreciate the work that was done since this first came to us in April and the work of the calendar committee. My ask would be that after approval from this board that it is shared with our community, but it might be confusing because it is hard, you know, people might be thinking it's next school year. So just making it clear and maybe sharing both calendars with the community so that they can start to, you know, wrap their minds around this and see it. And my other ask would be on, thank you for pulling it up, is on the calendars, both for this coming year and for this calendar, if we could add the bell schedule. I know it looks different at the high school and our K-8s, but, you know, minimum days, or families have to go searching and digging and remembering, and it would be nice to just have in one place. So if we could just put on the side, like, it tells you there's a minimum day, but then what does that mean? What time do they get out? So if you could just, if we could add the bell schedule, that would be really nice if that could be done. And those are my only asks.
All right. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? No? Motion?
I move.
All right.
Second.
Moved by Trustee Wong, seconded by Trustee Venegas. Trustee Venegas?
Aye.
Trustee Wong?
Aye.
Clerk Kirby Gonzalez?
Aye.
I too vote aye.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on, approval of the amendment to the contract with the Network Management Corporation to provide technology equipment for the Westfield Village modernization.
We ask your approval for the amendment to our contract with also known as NMC. NMC will provide technology equipment for our Westfield Village modernization project. Our school will be opening at the beginning of the year. And so we just need that equipment so we can make sure that the technology works well for our students and staff when they come back to their school. The financial impact for this amendment is $52,330 and $330.91 paid via the Measure Z fund.
No public comments?
All right. Any comments, questions from the board? Seeing, hearing
I
none.
move.
Moved by Trustee Venegas,
I'll second.
second by Clerk Kirby Gonzalez. Trustee Venegas?
Aye.
I too vote aye. Clerk Kirby Gonzalez?
Aye.
And Trustee Wong?
Aye.
All All right, moving on. Let's see, approval of the contract with One Workplace to purchase furniture, fixtures, and equipment for Westfield Village Modernization Project. Monique?
Continuing on our previous topic, we are so excited about the return to Westfield Village at the beginning of the school year, and we need to make sure that people have the furniture that they need to be able to serve our students. So we ask for your approval with One Workplace for furniture and fixtures and equipment for our school. The cost of this particular agreement, paid via the Measure Z fund, is $404,000, $810.88.
No public comment?
Questions? You have one. Okay, go ahead.
My question would be just with the last one and with this one, just ensuring that we're still on track in terms of our budgets as we look forward with Elkhorn and then our Performing Arts Center.
Still within budget.
Thank you. And then this is off the topic of this, but as we move forward, if we could get a date, since it's going to come really fast, for a ribbon cutting that we can make happen.
And my question would be, what do we do with the furniture currently being used by Westfield? So if we're buying new furniture and fixtures and things like that, what are we doing with the ones that we currently have?
Any furniture that is in good condition, we will continue to use. Any that's not, will surplus.
And then what happens once we surplus it? Do we sell it somewhere, or is there like an exchange, or, no?
In essence,
we
we
toss it?
dispose.
Okay.
Yes. Use
Got
a
it.
nice-
All right. All right, any further comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none.
So move.
Moved by Clerk Kirby Gonzalez,
A second.
second by Trustee Venegas. Trustee Wong?
Aye.
Clerk Kirby Gonzalez?
Aye.
Trustee Venegas?
Aye.
I too vote aye. Let's see. Approval of the contract with McGuire and Hester for the Westmore Oaks Elementary School Playfield Improvement Project. Monique?
Thank you. At a recent facilities subcommittee meeting, we discussed the need to ensure that our students at Westmore Oaks Elementary School have an appropriate place to be able to have their PE activities and appropriate place to play. When we modernized that particular campus, we didn't have the funding at that time to develop that field. And it's pretty barren, and it's really not as safe as it should be. Therefore, we would like to use some of the state facilities program money that we received as a result of the Measure V project to develop that field. And that includes grading the field, installing irrigation, and then also installing grass for our students at the school. So we ask for your approval of this agreement, and the financial impact of this agreement is $199,460, again paid through the Measure V State Facility Program matching.
Thank you. Any comments or questions?
Yes.
Or sorry,
No public comments?
thank you.
I just wanted to note that on the agenda, the public agenda, if I'm reading it correctly, item 8, correct? 404,000, and it
This-
says, oh no.
This is number 9.
Hold on, never mind. Okay. Sorry, I'm still a little fuzzy. I've been not feeling. Okay, Measure V, I'm good. Never mind.
Okay.
Thank you. Apologies.
Thank you. I do recall this item coming up in the facilities subcommittee, and this is absolutely desperately needed. And I just want to say I'm glad to see it transpiring. Do we have an idea about the time frame? That's the only question that I had.
So we won't be able to have it for the beginning of the school year, because when we install grass, we want to not install it in
Want to do it in
August.
fall, right?
And so it will take a little time, but what I think is also important is we're making the move.
Right.
And that we'll be able to, we anticipate definitely having our kids to be able to have this by spring. Great field to play on, great field to be able.
Thank you. Seeing more questions?
So moved.
Moved by Clerk Kirby Gonzalez,
Second.
second by Trustee Venegas. Trustee Wong?
Aye.
Trustee Venegas?
Aye.
Clerk Kirby Gonzalez?
Aye.
And I too vote aye. Thank you for doing this. Back again. Approval of the contract with Playcore Wisconsin, Inc., DBA Game Time for new playground structures at Bridgeway Island Elementary, Riverbank Elementary, and Southport Elementary. Moni.
Back in October 2021, with our COVID funding, you approved our ESSER 3 plan. And in that plan, it included playground and play equipment for some of our schools, specifically Bridgeway, I almost said River Point, Riverbank, and Southport. And what we are asking is for your approval to purchase that equipment. And the financial impact of that is $390,618.33, paid via our ESSER 3 COVID.
Thank you.
No public comment?
All right. Any comments or questions? I have one quick question. After this expenditure, how much money do we have left in ESSER 3?
We have about $6 million left in ESSER 3 for all of the projects that we will be implementing this summer to be able to complete by the.
So it's virtually everything earmarked, meaning
Yes,
we've got.
everything is-
Okay. Good.
Does that include our water bottle filling stations going in before
Yes.
August?
Don't know if it'll be August, but it includes it. You know, timing with construction projects is really, our project had to go to DSA, and that took time. And then we had to go out to bid, and that took time. Next meeting, we'll be bringing your, an item to request your approval for the contractor to do all of the ESSER with the goal of getting them in as quickly as possible. Priorities, shade, and water bottle.
All right. Thank you. I'll move this.
I'll second.
Second, I move Clerk Kirby Gonzalez second. Trustee Venegas?
Aye.
I too vote aye. Clerk Kirby Gonzalez?
Aye.
And Trustee Wong?
Aye.
All right. Approval of the contract with Me Technologies, Inc., Colby Technologies, Inc. for the quality bidder software.
Okay, thank you. So thinking about, you know, all of the projects that we just talked about, we need to make sure that we have qualified companies and contractors working on our projects. And there are very specific requirements that have to be followed when a contractor works on public contracts. Colby Technologies helps us to be able to vet those contractors to make sure that they are following and complying with all of the rules and regulations. We've worked with this particular company since 2015, I believe, and we're asking for your approval to renew their contract. This year, a 2-year contract for $59,540 paid via the capital facilities.
Mario?
No public comment?
Thank you. Any board comments or questions? No? All right. Anybody want to make a motion?
I move.
I'll second.
Moved by Trustee Venegas, seconded by Clerk Kirby Gonzalez. Trustee Wong?
Aye.
Trustee Venegas?
Aye.
Clerk Kirby Gonzalez?
Aye.
And I too vote aye. Your item is approved. Thank you. Going on to Q, Board Governance. Resolution number 2324-44, ordering governing board member election and requesting the Yolo County Board of Supervisors to consolidate district election with regular election held on November 5th, 2024. Superintendent Cheryl Hildreth.
Thank you, Vice President Pizzotti. This item is coming forward per Ed Code Section 5340 and 5342, whereas the County Superintendent of Schools is required to notify in writing the school district governing boards when a consolidated election is required to be held. The Washington Unified School District's Board of Education has 3 seats up for election this year: Trustee Area Number 2, Trustee Area Number 3, and Trustee Area Number 4. So one step in the election process is for the board to adopt a resolution with all the election particulars, and so we're coming forward to you this evening with a recommendation that the board take action to adopt resolution number 2324 2022-44, ordering governing board member election and requesting the Yolo County Board of Supervisors to consolidate district election with regular election being held on November 5th, 2024.
All right. Mario,
No public comment?
any comments, questions from the board? No? All right.
Okay, I'll move.
Moved by Clerk Kirby Gonzalez,
Second.
second by Trustee Venegas. Trustee Venegas.
Aye.
Trustee Wong. Clerk Kirby Gonzalez.
Aye.
And I too vote aye. And now we are on to board and superintendent comment. Superintendent Hildreth.
Thank you. Just a few end-of-year comments I want to make. I just want to highlight all of the wonderful and hot graduations and culmination promotion celebrations for kinder, 8th grade, and all of the wonderful high school graduations. Thank you to all staff in all of our schools. Parents were extremely happy and pleased and excited, and just to see our students making that reaching that milestone is why we do what we do. So just wanted to highlight that, even though it seems like a long time ago, was really just about a week or so ago. I also want to send a special shout out to our human resources team. If you look on the recommendation list, there are a large number of certificated and classified positions that the board has approved this evening so that our students have the staff and support they need for our summer school programs. And that could not have been done without Farah, Maria, Sarah, Salvador, Alex, Christina. I hope I'm not missing anyone, because Jenna, we have been short-staffed for a couple of weeks in HR, but by looking at that agenda, you would not know it, because that is the dedication of the human resources team. So just wanted to highlight and share appreciation that that work and effort does not go unnoticed. Some good things happening in the community. Last Friday, we had Impact Day, which was through our wonderful partnership with the United Way and our community schools. The United Way always has organizations who are looking to support other places in the community, and so the United Way sent Deloitte employees to our district on Friday to work and support us in various projects in different schools. So just want to thank all of our WUSD staff who participated, for Deloitte, and for United Way for bringing that to us. Excited to announce there was information that was just highlighted today that we will be able to provide free summer meals for youth 18 and under in our community. They will need to be with a parent, but an announcement went out today, and thank you to our food services director, Amber Dixon, who was able to make that happen, because originally we were only going to be able to support the students in WUSD, but Amber did some magic, and we are able to also support youth in our community. Want to highlight that Juneteenth is a celebration for the city, will be on Friday, and our Black Student Union is receiving an honor from the city for their advocacy in the No Hate campaign. We will also have our football team and coaches there to speak, so hopefully anyone who can attend the Juneteenth celebration, it's Friday around 4:30, I believe. 5:30? At Bridgeway Lakes at the boathouse, is that what? Yes. So looking forward to that, and though the school year has ended, we are always supporting our learners. So summer school, our English learner and our ESY programs are up and running. And next week we start our Freedom Schools program, which is really exciting. Hopefully you all will be able to visit and see the special cultural celebrations that happen in Freedom Schools. We're also looking for readers every day. Dr. Mascareñas is and Maricela Romero are heading that initiative for us, and there is a reading portion every day where they're looking to have staff, adults come and read. So if you're interested, please reach out to Dr. Mack, and have a good rest of the week.
All right. Trustee Venegas.
Awesome. All right. Yeah, I'll keep my focus on class of 2024. Congratulations. And congratulations to the families and just our team, the educators that are pouring into every single one of our young leaders and planting those seeds of possibility. So yeah, it's a hot summer, so drink a lot of water, take care of yourself, and yeah, relax a little bit. Thank you.
All right. Trustee Wong.
The voice from beyond, every listen to them. So again, felicidades to everybody who graduated kinder, middle school, 8th grade, and high schools, adult schools. It's always really powerful and beautiful to see everybody's joy, even in all different settings. So just wanted to thank everybody who I just wanted to update some folks that I was invited by Greenlight Go to speak to Yokodihi Community Fund, who I don't know if the board knows or the community knows that they actually subsidize Greenlight Go and are the primary reason that they started in Washington Unified without any cost to us and has subsidized that. But more importantly, the stories from the students and the changes that Go has made are so impactful and rooted in so much community and history. Just wanted to share that there was a really positive response from the community board at Yokodihi Tribe, and so just really excited about our continued partnership with Greenlight. So that's it for me.
Okay, thank you. Clerk Kirby Gonzalez.
Okay, thank you. The board had supported the work of M-Bound Ed, and so I did want to let you know we had said that a board trustee could go to represent on the curriculum council, and I was ready to go. And Sunday, my flight, I just could not get up, so I slept for 2 days straight, and so I was very sorry not to attend M-Bound Ed. But I have to say that looking at it from afar and going through all of the program pieces that everyone was doing, I was very impressed, and I am going to participate in the debrief. So I am sorry for that. We got a refund on our flight, don't worry. But I apologize. If I could have made it, I would have. In fact, I didn't even cancel to come back because I said I can fly out tomorrow probably, and my husband said no, you cannot. So I tried, but I'm sorry. So looking forward to the debrief on that. And yes, the graduations, what a gift to get to look into every single graduate's eyes and just congratulate them. That's a really special honor. And just looking out at the families who entrust us, it's such a big responsibility. And so I'm really appreciative of that, and really excited for all of the kids and what their next step is. It was great to hear some of their stories, and I'm looking forward to hearing more of those as we go on. I think that it would be important for us as a board to look at some policy around big events when it's over 100 degrees. And so thinking about what our maybe some contingency might be. If there's a big event and it's over 100 degrees, maybe we could delay it by an hour, or we make sure that there's water. Just putting onto paper some of the things that we already know to do. But I think it would be important to just have that so all of us know the steps, okay? Over 100, here is the plan to make sure that we're going to support people as good as possible. And and making sure especially that we make sure to protect those who are most vulnerable, our folks who are in wheelchairs and whatnot, to make sure that we have plans for all of them. The other piece that I wanted to share was that we had a letter from that a lot of our high school students signed about safety on campus. And so my ask is that before August that we make sure to communicate with our students and families about some new safety pieces put in place. I know that it was brought up tonight with the LCAP to have an additional campus monitor at River City High School. So as we share those things and make sure that we're communicating, and so those students who reach out to us feel heard, as well as the families. I wanted to thank Coach Mendenhall, our softball varsity coach, as well as our JV coach. They were out there with all of our high school girls, and they were doing, young women, they were doing a softball camp for our kids, all of our younger kids. So my daughter participated, which is why I got to be there and see. But it is so neat to connect our high school students with our younger students. And the more we can do that, the better. And I know you talk a lot about that as well, Trustee Venegas, and it really, our younger kids idolize them. And so they were hearing about college and what does it take to play college softball or a college sport. And there were just some really exciting conversations. And shout out to the people in this district who do so much work all year long, who deserve a break, but then also those who keep coming and keep doing the work. I really appreciated that. And then starting tomorrow, I will be driving kids around for Camp Yampa, because that's our other big one that's happening right now with all of our middle school kids. So, and then of course we have summer programs all over the district, but I just want to acknowledge all of those because they're really, really special for kids. And thank all of our staff for really what you do for our students. The topics around our dinner table are often about our girls' teachers. You know, Chloe, my to-be fifth grader, is really into, her teacher has all different types of pencils. And so we've been learning about the highest quality pencil that we need to get in our home, you know, whatever it is. Our teachers and our staff members and our food service workers, your lives all come into our dining room tables because our kids really appreciate and feel loved and nurtured by this district. And I am just so grateful for everyone in it. And the last piece that I just want to speak to is in our community, we know, and I don't want to share details or pieces, but we have had and been impacted, our students have been impacted by domestic violence over the whole time that I've served on this school board in really horrific ways. And that continues to happen. And so as we see our students going off into summer and we have sometimes less eyes on them, just a call to action to our whole community. That when you see something, you say something. And if you need resources or help, our schools are always just a phone call away or a walk-in visit away. That we are here to support all of our students and all of our families too. And of course, sending all of my thoughts and prayers to those who are impacted by violence in our community.
Thank you. Clerk Kirby Gonzalez, that's a very good point, and was thinking about that as well. As we read some of the briefings on it, did trigger for me. But I'm glad that you did bring that up, or see something that stop, especially when it comes from home into the classroom. Graduations. I just wanted to say, wow, 560 graduates this year from the high school. Amazing. 67 valedictorians. That's, again, amazing. That's crazy. Especially during a pandemic year where, you know, whole year of their high school career was on a screen. How you're able to maintain a 4.0 during that time is just beyond me. And so I'm just so proud of our kids and what they've become. And one thing that also touched me about that graduation ceremony was my daughter goes to Taekwondo here in the community. I got to take the hand of 3 of her instructors graduating. So, I mean, it is truly our community that goes to our schools, and we get to see and feel every day, and we know who they are, and absolutely love that. And then one of the things I think that is also such a blessing is our kindergarten promotion. While it doesn't seem like much, it is the most amazing thing to watch. I mean, it just is the most amazing thing to, you'll be killed with cuteness. I mean, it is just absolutely the most adorable thing to watch, but also watching the kids themselves, how they kind of light up when they get to get their certificate and smile for pictures of mom and dad, right? Like it's, I think this is just a special program, and it starts setting our kids up for success. We start implanting in their brain, this is what we expect. This is how we move. So yeah, I those are just some of the things I wanted to highlight, and yeah, that's all I have. So we'll move on to future board agenda items. We have an update on the COVID funding presentation, June 27th, 2024. Approval of board governance calendar for 24-25 on June 27th, 2024. Approval of local control accountability plan, June 27th, 2024. That's going to be a busy calendar. And then school resource officers discussion on August 20th. So with that, do I need a motion to adjourn? I don't think
No,
I
you
do.
don't. Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Am I correct? Were we going to have a board governance special board meeting, or did I just come up with that on my
We
own?
have a board governance handbook committee meeting for yourself and trustee Wong on Monday.
Oh,
It's
thank
via
you.
teleconference.
Okay.
I'll send out the,
You all can't come then, sorry.
Okay.
yeah, sorry.
Thanks.
Just 2 of you, sorry.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. The agenda is clear, and this meeting is adjourned.
Stay light. Stay light.